Now, RDmi is no more. It's a sad trombone music. It's dead. It doesn't exist anymore, except.
Oh, you really want me to? I can talk without mine. No, but I think we already got a bit of a start at the tool session yesterday. I'm not going to repeat everything that was said there, but basically, RDmi is visibly dead. It's still the backbone of what is now called Windows Virtual Desktop, the service that Microsoft is offering in Azure.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, yes, fine. We can talk about ourselves now. You go first.
So, for those of you who do not already know me, my name is Esther. I've been in IT for a long time and very active in the community for the last couple of years. Involved in the CTP program and the MVP program. And I'm also very actively sponsoring women in technology with a mentorship program that I started with my fellow teammates.
All right.
Back to the technical stuff. So the last couple of years, you
there you go.
No, so the last couple of years I've been investing heavily in DevOps automation. I think most of you already know how passionate I get about automating NetScaler stuff. So somehow I got this really cool Nitro Queen title.
Is that what the kids are doing with balloons and nitrous?
Yeah.
No. All right.
So let's talk about some serious stuff, Jim.
All right. Well, yeah, me definitely serious. So I work for FS Logics. I'm also a CTP. Now.
So there's another bullet. Why didn't you fill it out?
Esther kindly did these slides and she expected me to have more badges. That's why there's a gap there. But you know, I don't have any more badges, so I couldn't fill that in. But I also love DevOps and PowerShell development, all that sort of shit. It's lots of fun to me. All right, so got some questions for you. Who is familiar with what RDmi was intended to be? Hands up. A few people in the room. Okay, good. How many people have actually seen the Ignite content that Microsoft put out about Windows Virtual Desktop? Some people. Okay, cool. Alright, so here's an interesting one. Who uses Azure in their day job? Azure. I'll say Azure because of my accent, right? Everybody else says Azure, right? So, few people.
What accent?
What accent? Yes.
No, but I think Jim has like a posh version of Azure.
I am not posh. Alright. So, we should describe what WVD is. You want to do that?
Oh, sure. So we figured to really understand what the Windows Virtual Desktop is, we put up this really cool picture of the architecture. But basically I think the main message is just for those who are aware of Citrix Cloud and a thing called control plane, is that basically Azure offers the infrastructure as a service or the platform as a service. But you still have to provide your own desktops, virtual desktops. Your users, you still have to control their rights and access through Active Directory. And of course, your user profile data. And just as the any discussions that we've been having for a couple of years now, Microsoft by now already has a lot of clients to connect to the new service as well.
Yep. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about our experiences with Azure, because if there's not that many of you that use Azure in their day job or familiar with, this is going to be your phone and it's straight back to you. All right. So we were chatting about what it was like when we first started working with Azure, and you had a sandwich metaphor.
I had this awesome sandwich metaphor, and then Jim said, I don't do sandwiches. But basically, my first expectation when I logged on to Azure, went to the marketplace, it kind of felt like my first experience going to this place called Subway to order my first sub. So you walk into that place, you look at this really cool menu with all these awesome pictures of nice juicy sandwiches where you're going, oh, yes, now I'm getting hungry. I would like to have that one. And then you realize that there's this whole protocol for ordering a sandwich. It's a sandwich. And I never was prepared to the fact that all of a sudden I was getting all these questions and I had to provide all this information. What kind of bread do you want? Do you want cheese? Normal cheese? American cheese? Is that a thing? American cheese?
Oh no. It's a misnomer.
So, and then all of a sudden I had to decide, do you want to toast it or not? Do you want vegetables on it? I'm going like, yeah, well, it looked good in the picture. So after answering all these questions, waiting, having to decide even on dressing on a sandwich, which definitely is not a Dutch thing, in the end you are presented with a nice package. So in the end you do get what you want. And for me, my first Azure experience was basically the same. You go to the marketplace, you select this really cool virtual machine, virtual appliance that you want to deploy, and then you get hit with all these questions. Which resource group do you want to use? What VNet? Have you thought about the subnet? What name? All kinds of questions that you have to go through and fill out before you actually get that juicy virtual machine.
So, I also have a metaphor from my experience, and it's weirder than Esther's. Alright?
What a surprise!
Alright. Anybody ever heard the phrase, it's turtles all the way down? Right? Yeah, okay. So, yeah. So this is a question that was asked to a person who believed that the Earth was on the back of a turtle. Honestly, you get to the point, honestly. Right? The Earth was on the back of a turtle, and then somebody turned up and said, what's the turtle stood on? And they went, that's stood on another turtle. Well, what's that turtle stood on? Like, no, you can't trick me. It's turtles all the way down, right? And that's sometimes what, I mean, AWS is guilty of this as well as Azure, right? It's the continuous questions, right? Would you like this? Yes, please. Have you got this prereq? I don't even know what that is. Okay. No, there is another prereq, and all of a sudden you spend your entire morning Googling what the individual cloud's name for a fucking network is and how they do IP addresses, and it's difficult. Windows Virtual Desktop is still, at the moment, like that, but it is in pre-release. It's not out yet, so it is. If you want to try it when it's out soon, you will find that you may have a similar experience, but hopefully by the time it goes GA, we'll have something different. All right. Will this be the first desktop as a service? Oh, I've done that. It's like saying a PIN number. Yeah, doing DAS service. It's service twice out. Never mind. It's any good. So we've got Workspot, Frame, Amazon Workspace, which Andy is talking about next door.
So can we get another cheer for Andy, maybe?
No, that's pushing it too much. Maybe at the end. Right, these do have the advantage in that you can actually use them now and buy them now, right? Over Windows Virtual Desktop, you cannot. We also forgot to put Citrix Cloud on that when we were doing the slides, which would have been a mistake. How many people have used any of these other products? Few people. Okay. How many people are still ZenUp 6.5 on-prem? Almost the same number of people. So we're right in the middle there. Okay, brilliant. So, Connor, were you doing this slide or was I doing this slide?
Oh, I'm now going to say that this is definitely your slide, Jim.
Thanks. All right. So I'm going to be making a few comparisons to Citrix Cloud as we go through this, right? Because A, it's the one I know best, and you guys probably do too as well. So Citrix made the decision, for better or worse, when they created their Citrix Cloud service, of effectively moving their on-prem infrastructure straight into the cloud and running it as IaaS. This, they found out to their surprise, was really expensive, and also meant that they didn't have proper multi-tenancy. They now had to do like 25, is it 25 minimum users per whatever? Yeah.
Oh, and don't forget the awesome management tools, Jim.
Studio is amazing in Citrus Cloud, right? And you know, it's a proper cloud service with total REST APIs. No, it's none of that. But the Windows Virtual Desktop is not just RDS in the cloud. It is built from the ground up on a new code base to be a proper platform as a service. Yeah? This is not RDS IaaS. It's a whole new thing. Which means that it's got proper service costing as well. So no minimum amount of users. Yeah? And it's much cheaper for them to run too.
Definitely. So, and I don't think it's just about the costs, although that is a very strong incentive to move to the cloud services, especially if you talk to the CXOs, as Mark explained to us on the first day. But to me, it's also about who gets to blame when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah, so given this proper platform as a service, let's dig into that a little bit more. All right, how much is it going to cost you? Right, just get that out of the way to start with. If you have Microsoft 365 E3 or E5, or Windows E3 or E5, the control plane is free. No charge whatsoever. All right? And they're thinking about this last one, the M365 Business / F1. I don't even know what that is.
But it sounds really cool.
Sounds pretty cool. But if you have that too, then they're thinking about including it for free with that. Now, I realize that this doesn't cover everybody, but if you're looking at doing cloud, it probably covers most people who are wanting to move to the cloud. They're going to be on one of these. All right? So, control plane for free. How do you make any money if you're going to give the control plane away for free? We'll get into that in just a second. So
there are a couple of prerequisites that you need to take into account. First of all, which is a no-brainer, you need to make sure that you have your valid subscription for Azure, because it's linked to your subscription, of course, as all services in Azure are.
This will become important later on as well.
And as you have the option to use multi-tenant configuration for Windows Virtual Desktop, you also need to make sure that you have your Azure AD tenant in place. And last but not least, you need to make sure that you have a VNet with Active Directory or Azure Active Directory.
Domain services.
Domain services.
Okay, and trust me, when I tried to stand up and took a few shortcuts, you actually do need these prerequisites. Although otherwise it moans at you. I was going to say that, but don't worry about it. So how do they make money from this service if they're giving it away for free? Well, basically they
don't. Because Office 365 is not free.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
Don't worry about that.
Yes.
There's a license fee for that per user per month.
I know.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Just give us 2 more slides.
Okay.
Then we'll dive into that.
But really, so leaving aside the Microsoft 365 licenses for the time being, essentially you're going to pay for spinning the resources up in Azure. All right. So the compute and the storage for the working VMs have to be in Azure. Now, when RDmi was first touted, it was going to be, okay, you can do this as a hybrid. You can use the control plane and you can use an RDS server on-prem. That is no longer the case. All right? It means that every single VM needs to be in Azure, no on-prem, no compared to the clouds. All right? Office 365 Pro Plus on-prem. Would you like a multi-user OS that you can do Office 365 on? Yeah? Anybody want that? All right?
We've been doing it for years.
Yeah? Well, in 2019, no support for Office 365 Pro Plus. Who uses Office 365? Yeah.
Wow, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, and
Alright.
basically, I think a lot of people made a lot of noise as well when the preview came out for Windows Server 2019 that we didn't saw any RDS roles included.
Yeah.
So I think we made a big point that we needed RDS, and they threw it our way. But to be honest,
Sure.
oh,
Sorry, are you sure of the time frame there? I thought it was June 2020 was the cutoff.
So it's support. You may be right, yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is that it's not supported on 2019 the OS.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were referring to when you can no longer run Office 365 on-prem and RDS. That's June 2020.
Yes.
yeah.
There was a little bit discussion in the forums
Yeah.
they said that it was forgotten.
That is true, but that was the remark, and basically we got RDS back, so I thought, woohoo, we can still do our on-prem implementations.
So basically, it's relegating RDS on-prem, yeah, to legacy point solution, right? You're not going to be publishing a full desktop with this because it won't support Office 365. All right. So I can still see it being used in certain cases, but not as a general desktop provisioning mechanism. So essentially, all right, if you want to use multi-user and Office 365, there is only one solution from Microsoft, all right, which is use Windows 10 multi-user, which is only available in Azure and not on-prem. All right, you do this one.
Oh, thank you. Ta-da! No, I don't know how many of you are still running into Windows 7 or at customers, or I have seen it. I think it, just like the zombie suggests, it will take some time before we really see no more Windows 7. And we all know that the time is very short right now to keep using Windows 7 without having to pay an excessive amount of money once again, kind of like the XP story continues, for the extended security updates. So I was really excited to hear that with Windows Virtual Desktop, you also get the ability to run Windows 7 virtual machines for free. You don't have to pay for those extended security packages.
Yeah, so if you want to run Windows 7, have it supported, and don't pay Microsoft any money for that support, run it in WVD on Azure. You see there's a trend here, right? Yeah? Anybody see what's in their future?
Is it the blue coffin, James? on screen before?
All right, so we mentioned Windows 10 multi-user. Now the rules, so Windows 10 multi-user is not the same as Windows Virtual Desktop, although right now it's the only way to get Windows 10 multi-user. So Microsoft's rules for this, if you want to use Windows 10 multi-user, is that whatever service you're running, the control plane must be in Azure, and whatever service you're running, the workers themselves must be in Azure. All right? So this doesn't preclude anybody else building their own DAS service using Windows 10 multi-user, just as long as you run everything in Azure.
Oh, I know one vendor that might enjoy that.
So Citrix have said that they intend to release Windows 10 multi-user as part of Citrix Cloud. I think they're going to have to use the Windows Virtual Desktop APIs in the background. They can skin it as much as they like, but I think they're going to be using the Windows Virtual Desktop APIs, which then has a question: how much value add are Citrix actually giving you? Yeah, they've got Netscaler, yeah, they've got HGX, but like if they're actually using the Microsoft stuff in the back end, is what you're going to be paying them for Citrix Cloud going to be worth the value that they're giving you as an add-on? I don't know the answer to that, all right? But it's something that will have to fall out over time, all right?
How does it scale?
Sorry?
How does it scale?
I've got a rant about that.
How many IOPS is used?
You can shut the fuck up.
We'll build up the suspense, and then I'll let Jim rant all he wants. Because basically, I think one of the things that we really need to take into account is the fact that the modern day infrastructure and the modern desktop basically is starting to rely more and more on GPU support as well. And I don't know how many of you have already used the GPU virtual machines in Azure. I know I have, but my experience was that it didn't live up to the performance expectation that I was looking for. And basically, we also had a discussion right now, just an hour ago, because we were still preparing the slides, basically.
I like how she looks at me like that when they're still preparing the slides an hour before, Jamie.
No, but I think the largest usage of GPU is not those performance machines that we use right now with the N series in Microsoft or in Azure regarding GPU performance for like the CAT users, those special cases, the high definition video users. I think the main support for GPU has to be the GPU sharing options that you obviously get on the other hypervisors right now. And
So
it's
this-
still lacking in Azure.
Yeah, so this is their public statement, right? We are continuing to evaluate GPU-P drivers for VDI and RDSH. Well,
Thanks for that.
I mean, what do I do with that? I have no idea. Now, maybe we'll be standing here in a year's time saying there's an amazing new GPU sharing option for Hyper-V and for Azure, and that's possible. But right now, there's nothing coming from Microsoft around that. And I think it's a really big missing piece. The ability to use N series is not special in the way. Right now, they say that Windows Virtual Desktop will allow you to use any VM from the marketplace, which includes the N series. Yeah? So I think that's quite nice. You can pick, mix and match whatever size of VM you want. All right. Was this mine or yours? It's
Oh,
yours,
definitely
wasn't it?
yours, yes.
Yeah, if I ever asked that, you just got to say mine, aren't you?
No, but basically one of the things that you see with Microsoft and some other vendors is that they have this strong focus on security. Some might even claim that they have become a security company. But I think it is very important to realize that Microsoft actually has a good security strategy for Windows virtual desktops.
Yeah, and if you remember Esther's slide at the beginning that showed the architecture of the 3 blocks, whether it's the client side, as you'd expect from the client side, so that's always outbound connections, but it's also outbound only from the tenant, all right? So the PaaS service is a rendezvous server, so effectively from your network, right, it's only ever outbound, which is a nice thing to have in the architecture.
I think especially nowadays. So this is definitely my slide, Jim. So one of the things that I think is a big plus for building the Windows Virtual Desktop service from the ground up is that it's really service oriented and it's really native cloud service, which means that all the APIs are already in place. And especially if we're talking about Microsoft and Azure, it also means that I have full PowerShell commandlets and full PowerShell control over most of the settings and most of the service configuration, so to speak.
They haven't dumped their entire API into a single PowerShell commandlet. Sean Bass! Just, you there? You paying attention? Good. Yeah, I love this. Although I haven't got access to the PowerShell module yet because of Yammer. Don't ask, it's a horrible story. Buy me a beer later and I'll tell you. But looking through the documentation, it's really thorough. There is excellent API coverage. There is excellent PowerShell commandlets. I'm really impressed with what you can do with this in terms of automation and APIs. So they talk about scaling and provisioning as well, monitoring, troubleshooting. One of the things they don't talk about, which I think is missing, is assessment.
So who thinks assessments are a very big added value to the, we already have
Yeah.
one hand raised.
So would it be nice if you had a tool that could look at your existing infrastructure, be it physical, virtual, and then give you a report that you could maybe twiddle a bit, and then, because the automation is there, and spin up exactly what you're needed, give you a cost estimate, right? Spin up
Or
exactly what's
even
needed.
the amount of Windows 10 multi-user machines that I need to create.
Cost has got out of bed.
Wow, that's
Round of applause for Cost. Yeah, so I think so there is an Azure assessment tool for servers. So hopefully Microsoft will do something similar for desktops as well.
yeah, this is getting me excited as well. I don't know about how much you got from the latest things that I've been researching on Azure, but as I was trying to deploy and configure my NetScalers on Azure, I think I have the non-plush version. But I really started to love the way that the ARM templates make my life so easy from an automation and a DevOps perspective, because basically they allow me to simply kick off the service. And in this case, what I really like about Windows Virtual Desktop is that it has two steps. First of all, you simply have the ARM template for the tenant part, because that's something that you probably run once, and in case you're really doing multi-tenant, maybe twice or 3 times or 4 times. But you also get a separate ARM template to create that host pool with all your virtual machines in it and your virtual desktops. And that makes it, at least from my perspective, very easy to also support a quick update of my machines, making sure that my tenant has access to maybe 1 or 2 or 3 pools, and not have all that manual, I have to tick all the boxes, fill out all the information stuff.
So, lifecycle management, it's pretty thin at the moment, to be perfectly honest. All right, so there's promised to be an ARM template for updating images. Right now, what they say for rolling out an update is you roll out a new pool, and then you cut users over from the old infrastructure to new. Now, the good thing about this is that you still have the old infrastructure there to immediately roll back to. The bad thing about it is you're paying twice, right? So hopefully there is something either that they do around price, or that they make that slightly easier to do. Patching is absolutely down to you. We did wonder whether they might package this with the Microsoft Managed Desktop service, and then Microsoft will take care of the lifecycle of the desktop as well, but I don't know. PowerShell for admins, there's some good commanders out there. Pretty basic still, but at least there's stuff there. Disconnect user, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and it's going to be, at least it feels like a good, promising progress in making sure that we can do everything with PowerShell. Because I don't know about you, Jim, but during the preview, I didn't see a lot of GUI in there.
No. So, as is now traditional, if you don't know PowerShell, learn it, please. There is also opportunity here, right? So if you're a partner, or if you're an ISP, there's a whole load of stuff that you can sit in front of this, all right, to make it simpler, make it easier to consume, and you can add value in that way to this service, yeah? Because I don't think that Microsoft is going to be producing nice, pretty GUIs for this service. I don't think it's going to happen at all. But some people will, and it's going to be a business for somebody to do so. And there's an interesting load balancing thing, which is they call breadth first and depth first. So in terms of
who knows those terms? Because Jim definitely had to explain it to me. And you had such a great explanation, Jim. Can you repeat it one more time?
Thanks. So this really depends on what your purchasing system is for the desktops themselves. So you have the choice of either buying reserved instances, right, or paying per hour for the compute, right? Those are your two choices. So breadth first is designed for reserved instances. So if you have 100 multi-users, so this is all around multi-user stuff, 100 multi-user Win10 VMs, and 100 people log on, they will, as they log on, they will get the least loaded server, so you'll get one user per VM. Depth first is the opposite of that. So it's when you're paying for compute, all right? So say you get 20 users on a multi-user Win10 server, right? That server fills up to 20 first, then it moves up to the next server, fills that one up, and then on down the line, right? So we try and keep the cost of the compute down to as low as possible. Now, there has consequences of this in terms of user experience by fully loading servers before you're moving on to the next one, but it will save you a lot of money in terms of usage. Like I say, or you can use reserved instances. They do say there is more to come later too.
Oh yeah, this is mine, right? So we've been talking a lot about Windows 10 multi-user because due to the announcement that is like the hot and happening trend right now to see how much users you can get on a Windows 10 machine. But you also still have the option to just do single user Windows 10 sessions or machines as well. So don't be too focused on having to use the latest and greatest.
Yeah.
And of course, you still have the option to assign a virtual machine to a user.
So you can do persistent as well, right?
Yes.
Branding. Everybody says, well, okay, fine, I'll use your service, but you know, I'm going to put out a web page saying, come here and connect to our company's virtual desktop. So everybody wants
So
a
I
nice,
can get my own URL.
Yeah. Now, it's a classic case of Alex branding. You can see here, taken from his lovely website. Has he left? Shit.
We missed our window of opportunity.
Yeah. So, can you create your own branding? Can you use your own URL?
Are we talking about the preview or our wish for the future?
Let's talk about now.
No.
No, you are shit out of luck. All right.
No, but to be honest, you of course have this very lovely feature or suggestion from Microsoft right now to just consume the Windows Virtual Desktop feed in your own website.
So it's all REST API based, right? So their suggestion right now is build your own website and then access the virtual desktop feed via REST. Now,
anyone remember Framed website?
Now, to Microsoft's credit,
I think he's passing out the free passes for Workspace right now. It must be. People get so excited.
I think it's trying to one up us. It's not going to work, is it? To Microsoft's credit, this is obviously an unsatisfactory solution. All right. Now, they have open sourced all of the code to do this in terms of standing it up and consuming the feed. That is on GitHub. So, all right, I'll give them that. But again, there's opportunities here for other people.
Yeah, because basically I know we have a tendency to kind of bitch about the fact that all this automation and all these cloud services are stealing our jobs. But I think if we're trying to look at the positive side of things, I think it's going to create a lot of new jobs, new functions, new services, that new added value that we can provide. So I guess we should have joined that masterclass earlier, right?
Yeah. So, like we talked about before, assessment and configuration tools, definitely opportunities there, right? There is scaling built in, but it's really clunky at the moment. Presumably it'll get better, but right now it's really clunky. It's like running PowerShell scripts of scheduled tasks and stuff like that. It's, yeah. So scaling could get better. Reassessment, right? Once you've stood it up, in a month's time, is your user fingerprint the same as it was a month ago, right? Do you need to assign users to different host pools? Do you need more in that pool and less in this pool? Do you need a different size VM for this group of people? That sort of reassessment is also something that I see as necessary. And as we've mentioned, obviously, branding, personal URLs, that sort of thing.
Once again, another slide for me. We talked about the virtual desktops, we talked about remote apps and all the opportunities that you have there, but there's one thing we didn't address yet, and that's your user profile. And to me, a user profile has always been a very large part of the success of my virtual desktop projects. So the good news is, Microsoft has thought about user profiles. But maybe there is some improvement.
Yeah, so it's UPD right now, but they're promising better stuff later. When can you get your grubby little fingers on the bits? This year, for the public preview. Christian, you said you knew the date of that.
It's confidential.
Oh, we're all friends here.
So basically, 2018 is only November and December, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere between 2 months.
Is it November?
I don't talk to you guys.
All right, if you want to know when it's released, get him drunk later, yes? GA early 2019, and so obviously that just means first half of 2019. I would estimate that their absolute drop dead date would be Inspire, which is in July. If it's not released and GA'd by then, there's a lot of people at Microsoft losing their jobs. All right, so that's their drop dead date. Hopefully, it comes out much earlier than that. And we have got 5 minutes left, so I'm not going to rant about APIs, although I had one prepared.
You'll probably do that later in the talk, right?
All right, I'm going to do it in like 2 seconds. Azure as a platform has a tendency to throttle APIs. Citrus Cloud has this problem. I'm wondering if Windows Virtual Desktop will do as well. The only way around the API throttling problem is to create multiple subscriptions, because the API limit is per subscription, per region, per time period. I had a customer who wanted to do 40,000 desktops as a DR, and they needed to do it in 4 hours because that was their SLA to the business. To get around the API limit, they had to create 40 different Azure subscriptions. Yeah? This API throttling limit in the underlying Azure platform is a fucking nightmare, right? And if you're trying to do anything at scale, you're going to run into it. If you want to know more about it, it's somebody I spoke to earlier on was having this issue as well. So it wasn't just you, there's somebody else. Anyway, talk to me about it later if you want to know more about that. So we've got something to show you as well.
Yeah, basically, we did get our hands on the preview, but we had like a slight challenge to make sure that we got everything up and running. So I asked my good friend Freek from RDS Gurus to prepare a nice demo video, and he did such a well job that he also commented everything. So
it's like he didn't trust us.
I think I'm just going to shut up and maybe help out Andy in the other room.
Oh, you want the AWS credits from Andy? Go on, run in.
Nobody's keep his microphone.
You should do with it.
That's amazing.
Andy, do you still have free credits? Yes, I can answer a question.
Do you think Esther knows that this sound's coming through here? Anyway, pay attention to the video.
Okay, then I'm going to watch the end of the video in the other room and be right back.
So we could hear you, by the way, because the microphone was put in place right. That's awesome. So as you can see, Windows 10 Enterprise multi-user. You can pick whatever you like. As long as you got the prereqs, this does work mostly. The prereqs getting it all right is really important though.
Well, especially the image file, or the URL, or the image.
Yes. So this will talk to blob storage to get your image, which is nice that it's nice cheap storage. That's it. That's figuring the tenant. So, because it's Azure, whatever, you can download all of the automation just from that, yeah? And then you can change the parameters and do whatever you like. And we'll see Frank do that in a second, actually. Yeah, no VMs. All right, because it's a proper. So all he's doing is associating the PaaS service with your subscription, right? It doesn't install any VMs or anything like that. It's just associating the service with your subscription. Bear in mind, you know what I said about APIs and subscription on a per subscription basis, right? It may be the case if the underlying Azure infrastructure doesn't get better at scaling, that we end up with multiple of these and the automation becomes very important. I have a customer who wants to do 120,000 VDAs on Azure. 120,000. It's not going well for them. So, as we can see, although why Frank uses Visual Studio, I don't know. But
Recorded demo, recorded demo.
and you know, it almost always works. I did have a video recording that failed on me once. That was interesting.
That's why I said it in the email.
That's why we asked Frank to record.
Yeah. So now this is setting up the host pool and all the parameters for that. As is tradition with Azure, right? It's PowerShell and JSON, PowerShell and JSON. Everything is super easy. And now, you can do this with VS Code as well. But taking all of this and then deploying an entire WVD infrastructure directly from a script editor is, well, it's an IDE rather than ISE, but directly from the IDE is pretty cool. So, I did see a tweet, I think, that the existing RDS client is going to be able to connect to WVD. Benny? The existing RDS clients are going to be able to connect to WVD, is that correct?
Still working on it.
Yeah. So right now it says individual client. The clients are quite good at the moment. You've got obviously HTML5. Yeah. Yeah. Now, Microsoft, right, I'm glad you're here because you're the only person in the world that likes Edge, right?
We found him.
Yeah, we found the one.
Yeah, after I retired my Windows phone, I
Yeah.
thought I
Yeah. Seriously, until like 3 months ago he was using a Windows phone. But yeah, they say, yeah, you can use Edge and Cortana. Yay.
Isn't that website beautiful? It's always good to use it as an example.
It's really, really fast to update as well. Isn't it, Alex?
Yes, you can log into it in Ubuntu as well.
Alright, so obviously you've got remote app, you've got full desktop. It all actually works, which is nice. So there you go. So remember, this is now an outbound connection from the consumer and from the tenant to the rendezvous service in Windows Virtual Desktop. This is multi-user Windows 10. That's what I was just about to see. There you go. I mean, could we not have had that like 10 years ago? Honestly? Maybe not
We're
Windows 10.
asking them since 10 years to build it.
Thank God for agile working and
So
quick
the
release
client is
cycles.
excellent. It actually really looks native. You can do the snap windows. You can do pretty much everything that you would expect from a native app. It looks really good. All right. We're almost there.
And here still using MSDSC, but Microsoft wants to retire MSDSC
Yeah.
long term. Yay! This is why I was so hesitant answering your initial
Yes.
question. So
Yeah, I know.
you never know how quick they want to get rid of it.
All right. So now all you guys know all about Windows Virtual Desktop and all the cool shit that's coming. Are you glad you have expanded your knowledge in this way? You happy?
Yes.
All right. So
He is
Only
going
one
to
person said yes.
shut up. All right. As a little last request for you guys, and also obviously to support Andy.
I think Andy already left the building.
Has he finished already?
There's no more
This
orders
is
to
gone.
say this
All right. We don't need to do it then, right? If he was still there, I'd be asking for another chair. But if he's not there, fuck it. All right. So thank you so much for coming along, guys. Cheers.